Welcome to my home. I've made a few tweaks for spring and I would like to share them with you. Come on inside. Come on, it's a little bit chilly out there. One of the first things you see when you open the door is this beautiful spring wreath. And I just really wanted something on the door that said spring. And I feel like this pink and the white and the greens of this beautiful little wreath does that. And as you step into the entryway, you're greeted by another bouquet of flowers right here. And it is a set of spring flowers that I put together to just say welcome and to brighten up this particular area. So when you come into my entryway, you can either look to the right and then you'll see another bouquet of flowers and take the steps upstairs, or you could move over here to this right and walk into the dining room. And then of course, straight ahead is my kitchen. So there's a wreath on the door and a nice bouquet of flowers to welcome you in. There's a little plaque on the table that says thankful, grateful, and blessed. And then there's two sweet little bunnies just kind of tucked away on that telephone table. And this telephone table is very old. It used to sit in my grandmother's home, and this was during the times when you only had one phone and it sat in the main room of the home, usually the living room. And this was in her main area, which was the dining room. And the telephone sat on that table, and when you talked on the phone, you sat there. So I'm really lucky to have that. And then there is another plaque on the wall that says bloom where you're planted. Let's shut the door. And now we can see what's tucked behind the door. We see this sweet little corner with some family pictures and the picture of our home. But there's another bouquet of spring flowers. And now we're in my living room, and I just made a few tweaks. I just refreshed it just a little to say spring, but not a complete makeover. Let me show you what they are. Here's a long view of the living room. And just to freshen things up for spring, I added these two pillows. You might remember I had this beautiful little throw in the family room during the winter time because I felt like the richness of the white and the browns really kind of contrasted for winter. But for spring, I brought it in here, and then I put this sweet little velvet kind of a powder blue pillow here with these beautiful birds to just bring in spring. And I picked up both of these pillows at Pier 1. This I got at Hobby Lobby, but isn't that adorable? And I just really like how they play off the patterns of the sofa. And then back here, you can see another beautiful pillow with the birds of spring in the pinks and the beiges and the blues that you so often see in spring, because of course there's still quite a bit of brown and beige because everything hasn't greened up yet. And it's perfect for right here. And this pillow came from Hobby Lobby. And on this table right here, I put this lantern with a little bird's nest in it that I put together for one of the challenges that I participated in. And I'm just really pleased with the way it turned out because it really helped me to prepare for spring. This lantern came from Pier 1, and there's a little nest inside with a little bird sitting on it. And the little nest came from Pier 1. I think I got the bird from Hobby Lobby, but I'm not sure. I don't remember. I've had the bird for a while. And then these two spring florals, little daffodils and tulips, which really shout spring to me. Both of those came from Joann's. And then this beautiful plate, you've got some birds that are around their nest, and the nest is full of eggs, and this plate came from Pier 1. In case you can't tell, I like birds. And on that end table, I just have some family pictures, a pottery bowl, and just a set of faux flowers behind that. And those pillows on that little love seat pretty much live in this room all the time, so I just stacked them all over there just to add a little contrast. And I didn't do anything differently over here. I just left it as is. So just a few tweaks to say spring. So now let's look at the dining room from the opposite area, from the end looking towards the hall. And on that end of the table, you can see a sweet little bird. It's a goldfinch sitting atop some yellow tulips, and it is so cute. My husband got that for me, and it's motion sensitive. So I can turn it on or off, but then when people walk by it, it will start to sing. It's just so cute. I just love it. It's adorable, and it's perfect for spring. Tulips are some of my favorite flowers, and it brings in just the right touch. And since this sits in the corner, the only nod to spring that I put here was this sweet little fawn. And a friend of mine gave me this years ago, and there were three of us that were always together doing different things, but we were all writers, and she's a writer and illustrator, and Beatrice Potter was one of her very favorite authors and illustrators. So she got me this little deer, this little fawn, in remembrance of Beatrice Potter, since we're both children's book writers. So I'll put that right there. And I felt like the colors of the fawn just perfectly picked up the colors in the chalk drawing that sits on the shelf behind it. Now let's go into the dining room. Now when you come into the dining room, one of the first things you see is the buffet. It's immediately to your left when you walk in here. And I did style this for spring. And one of the things that I wanted to do was to be able to display some of the pieces that I love, but also bring just a little hint of spring here. So this is how I've set things up on the buffet for spring. This particular little floral arrangement here I put together in a challenge that I did for Kimberly Davis at Diva Designing on a Dime. It was the spring cloche collab, but I took the cloche off because I like being able to see the birds and the florals a lot easier. So let me bring you up just a little bit closer to see that. And here's the long view of the dining room. You see the buffet there immediately to your left. A picture on the wall, a few things. And then you see the dining room table. And you see the china cabinet. And there on the table you see my spring floral basket with the sweet little green birds that, again, just bring in that green we expect to see with spring. And then the flowers in pinks and whites and blues. On top of the china cabinet, you see more spring florals. And back on the corner, we'll see a basket of tulips. And I think this huge basket makes the perfect centerpiece for this table when there's nothing else on it. And let's get a little closer so we can see what's on top of the china cabinet. Now that blue plate and some of that greenery sits on top of the china cabinet year-round. But I do move it at Christmas time. But for spring, I just added some of the colors that accompany spring. So I added the little bird cage, which holds a tea light. And I picked that up at Pier 1. And to the left of it is a candle holder. And then right next to that is a little pink and white ceramic basket with spring flowers. And then you see some of the purples flowers that are just kind of laying there on top because the hyacinths and the crocuses are starting to come up, and they're usually a little purpley blue. And then more pinks and whites. And again, those brownish, beigey colors that we still have in spring. You can see the sweet face of the bunny on that little ceramic planter, the bird on the top of that little bird cage, and the colorful flowers. And the pinks and whites that are already in the china cabinet just complement spring. And this is just another look at the buffet. And then here in the corner is my beverage bar. And I didn't add any spring touches to that. I just left it as is. And we go straight into the kitchen from the beverage bar. And this is a long view of the kitchen. I like for the kitchen to be very, very cozy. I spent a lot of time in here and I like it to be cozy. So I've kind of given just a little bit of a nod towards farmhouse this spring, but I didn't want to overdo it. I love the farmhouse look that the white pitcher that says Farm Fresh gives to the kitchen, as well as the spoon and fork. But I do love my French provincial clock on the wall. And of course my spring kitchen vignette, which I truly love how well that turned out. I really felt like I'm getting good use out of those herbal plates. That little faux greenery that's right behind the plate is just adorable, and so many people want to know if it's real, and it's not. And when you look across the kitchen toward the back, you see my little Scotty dog, which garners a lot of attention. And in front of him is another little vignette, but it's got a set of cow salt and pepper shakers and a single serve teapot and a little sugar bowl. And of course there's my Ray Dunn Enjoy coffee mug, and again the white mug just continues to add to the farm ambiance. And then on top of the microwave I just added some little cutesies. A little mortar and pestle for herbs, a set of mixing bowls that actually make up the shell on the back of the turtle, and then of course some really cute little ceramic measuring spoons. And here's my kitchen. And like I said earlier, if you missed the kitchen tour, I'll link it below. But I'm just really pleased with how nice my kitchen looks this spring. Thank you so much for joining me for my spring home tour. I just did a little refresh, just something, just a few little tweaks here and there to freshen the house for spring. And I'm really pleased with the way things turned out. I didn't want to do a huge overhaul. I just wanted to do a few tweaks that I could do on a budget. So tell me in the comment section below, which one of the little tweaks that I did for spring do you like the best? And in case you're wondering, we do have a family room, but I look at that as my husband's space. He's in there most of the time, either watching TV or working on a project, and so I tend not to film in there because I don't want to inconvenience him too much. So we won't see that area as part of today's home tour. If you like this video, you might also be interested in my spring cleaning series. So I will link it below, and I will also put an iCard above. And you might be interested in my gardening series as well. I am just so ready to start gardening, but I can't do it just yet because the weather is still just a little bit too bad. I will show you what I woke up to this morning. Hang on. And this is what it looks like today, March 31st. Just take a look. So yeah, it's not clement weather for spring gardening. But if you're ready to get your gardening on, or at least to put some ideas together, I will link my gardening series below and then also put an iCard above. And just so you know, I've raised 3 children. I've managed a home for more than 45 years, and I'm a nurse by profession. So if you want to learn more about running a household, cooking and cleaning and laundry and health and beauty, I would love to have you subscribe and become a member of the TNT community. In the meantime, this is Denise Jordan saying goodbye. I will see you in the next video.